They aren't even nice to the public. They're not going to be nice to dogs. I mean, we really believe someone should oversee who picks a dog at random to put them down.
There is nothing random about it. There's nothing random about it. And as much as you don't like what's happening and maybe don't like the people there, it's not easy for anybody.
See, sadly, I like the people. I just don't like how they do their job.
Okay, well, it is a tremendous, in fact, I had, I don't know, you guys probably noticed, some people didn't even notice that we started naming the dogs. I had a huge fight on my hands for that. They did not want it, and not because they didn't want the dogs to be more adoptable, but because it was that much more personal to them when they had to euthanize it. That was very difficult, and they're not going to tell you that, but they were adamant. We do not want these dogs named. This is hard enough. When I call it Fluffy all week, and then I have to euthanize it.
When do they see the dogs that they're really? I mean, seriously, I'm just curious. When are you telling me that they're seeing this dog that they're calling it Fluffy?
Yeah, when are they interacting with?
We are asking. We are women that are here all day. We are the people that are at the pound all day. We're just curious.
They interact with the dogs when you're not there. They feed and water them every morning, and they clean their cage every morning. So they and most of the guys have picked up the dogs and brought them in, you know, and created a relationship with the dog when they took it out of wherever it was. So, I mean, just because they're not there during the day, taking them out and cuddling them doesn't mean they don't care, they don't have a relationship with the dogs.
I have a question about the union. It seems like many of the issues that we're talking about tonight are union related in terms of how they control what goes on with employees. Okay, so the union is in place to say what employees can and cannot do. But how does the union control what you do or what volunteers do? I don't understand what control they have or what control they have.
The union, because there's a labor agreement, it is very, I will bring my union contract to the next meeting, okay? You guys can pass it around and look at it. It is very specific. It's like you're contracting with them to do certain work, okay? So if somebody else does that work, you're threatening them by saying, well, we don't need this person because this person does it for free. And that's how they, even though, you know, a simple volunteer dumping out moldy dog food into the trash can is a good thing, that can be seen as a threat, okay? And it's not that...
So what do they do? Do they issue a warning? Do they hire a
lawyer? They file a grievance.
They file a grievance.
Yeah.
So what happens with the grievance? So what? They file a grievance. Maybe some of these things need to come to light and go through a grievance process and involve an arbitrator.
But part of the problem, why we as volunteers don't do it, is because we spend our lives in fear of them saying, out, no volunteers. We know at any minute that could be something that...
Well, a phone call to the repository.
Oh, stop. Well, like it stopped anything else? We know that they could at any time. They don't have to allow volunteers.
Sure.
And that's why we as volunteers tippy-toe around on eggshells very carefully. And we put up with knowing there's moldy dog food right there that we can't dump out and go give that dog clean water and clean food because a grievance will be filed against us.
Or
against her, and then she can then say, well, then no more volunteers even.
Just with the volunteers, I also have GR workers in my building, which are welfare workers, and I have this same fight every day over what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. It's not just with the volunteers.
No, but I mean, why don't we get it clear with the union?
Yeah,
and say, look, aren't you tired of all this, like, belly aching and these grievances? Come on, seriously.
They get plenty of money in their pockets because of what people pay for union dues.
I just don't understand why they would even put up with all that. And so why they couldn't make it a little clearer.
Well, the union had to agree to allow volunteers in the building. They had to agree with that. That wasn't just the word, Everett didn't just say, you know, they...
I'm saying in the whole general scheme
And I understand that. So at some point, granted that was before me, but at some point there had to be some guidelines of what the union agreed that the volunteers could do. Do you understand what I'm saying? At some point, somebody had to say, okay, well, what are we going to let them do and what are we not going to let them do? What that agreement was, I don't know, because it well precedes me. But that's something that we can find out, you know, and go there. Let's go there. That's fine.
I'm saying as not just for the volunteers, sure, but what the union means to the pound in general, and how
It's Greg
how to
Beatrice.
find a way with the union, conversation directly with him, how to keep the employees from abusing the fact that they're union and have them do their job properly. Whether they're union or not. They
Have you ever
still
been
be,
union?
For God's sakes, they're getting paid. They should do their job.
Not if you're union.
Well, we have to find a way to...
Well,
We're not going to solve everything.
no,
tonight.
and let this be said too, there have been counties that have successfully privatized certain departments.
Which is
there.
an issue we should certainly discuss.
Something we should
Which is-
really
which is-
discuss.
Do
Which,
some
which
homework.
may be productive to pursue that effort rather than,
Then putting our money into a lot of other places and grants for this and grants for that. We would probably be better off looking into that.
it's
I
a lot of
agree.
work. It's a lot of work, and
Right.
it is an uphill battle, but
I
there
wonder
are
if we
this.
started a conversation about privatizing the pound, if that wouldn't put people that aren't falling into their job description on notice, that maybe their position isn't as secure as it is, if that were something that we talked about. Because, what's the incentive of continuing to do your job if you have this protection from
Right.
treating animals
Right.
decently?
Right.
But if we're going to think about privatizing, or outsourcing, that's the wrong word, privatizing, then maybe there's a little bit more incentive.
And you're
I
right, it has
agree.
been very
I agree.
successful in quite a few places.